Well, I tell you what, cover that, and then we'll go to break.
Okay, excellent. Well, when I was a Mormon, and you're absolutely right there, Shannon, there's a lot of in the Secret Service, FBI, CIA are Mormons, because they see a lot of Mormon men go on missions to foreign countries. And so the CIA loves that, because here they got a guy who already has foreign language capability.
Wow.
They've already been embedded, if you will, in a foreign country. And plus Mormons are known for their integrity and whatnot. I'm not impugning any of that. Most Mormons are very fine people. But anyhow, I had a friend who was a Secret Service agent who was a Mormon. And we were at the temple together in Washington, D.C., because in those days, that was the closest temple to go to Milwaukee. Okay. Now they have one in Illinois that I'm sure they go to, but back then it was Washington, D.C. Big, gorgeous temple. Those of your listeners that may live near Silver Springs, Maryland, you've probably seen it from the Beltway. It looks like this giant white spaceship thing with 6 spires about ready to take off. Cost $20 million to build in 1970.
Wow.
So anyway, because the church is rich beyond anybody's wildest dreams, the Mormon church is. And anyway, this guy was telling me, he says, you know why you can't get up onto the 5th floor of this temple, even though you have a temple recommend? And I said, no, I really don't. And he took me aside. He says, I'm going to tell you something very few people know. And I said, okay, because, you know, even then, everybody likes to know a little secret, right? And so I sit down with this guy in the hallway of the temple, and he says, I happen to be one of the consultants on this. And what's on the 5th floor of this temple is actually an exact replica of the Oval Office. Right down to the drapes, the desk, the flags behind the desk, everything. It's exactly like the Oval Office. And in fact, if you look at an aerial picture of the Washington, D.C. temple, you'll see there's a dome over the middle of the roof. And he said underneath that dome is all the electronics and telecommunications equipment that's at the White House. You could run the country from this temple. And he told me, we believe that someday a Mormon high priest, like Mitt Romney, will be elected president or vice president. And at that point, the Lord will intervene and America will become a dictatorship, with a benevolent dictatorship, to be sure, with our wonderful Mormon prophet leading the entire country in what is called the United Order, which is a communistic system that Utah was under for the first 25 or 30 years of its existence when Brigham Young started it back in the 19th century. And he said that's what's on the 5th floor. It's an alternate White House. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, you know. But now I look back on this not as a Mormon anymore, but as a born-again Christian. Because if you understand what the Mormons believe, they have what's called the White Horse Prophecy and the prophecy of the one mighty and strong. They believe this great Mormon high priest is going to be pretty much exactly like the job description of the great beast in Revelation chapter 13.
Man, oh man, that's very similar.
Being facetious. Democrats and Republicans. I don't care if you think I'm Satan reincarnated. The fact is, you can't look at that television and say, nothing happened on the 6th. You can't listen to people who say this was a peaceful march. No, I'm serious. Think about it. Think of the things being said. I've been through the other end of this when the Democrats 35 years ago were way off to the other side. Many times Republicans in the right place. I don't mean that the Republicans, it's only the Democratic point of view. But some of the stuff, I mean, QAnon, the idea that the Democrats or the Biden is hiding people and sucking the blood of children and no, I'm serious. Now, you may not like me, and that's your right. Look, it's a simple thing. You can walk out and say, I just don't like the way that guy wears his tie. I'm voting against him. You have a right to do that. You have a right to do that. But the kinds of things